It's Bible Stories with Bible Pete. Hey kids, and howdy to any parents also watching. Nothing wrong with grown-ups enjoying Bible stories too. Bible Pete here, the internet's most fundamentalist Christian, and welcome to my new series called Bible Stories, where I tell the historical stories from the Bible that your school ain't being made to teach you no more because of a horrible secular conspiracy to keep our radical beliefs out of their lives. Luckily, I'm here to teach you kids these important stories so that you can look out for anything in your science and history lessons that contradicts them and is therefore evil, wrong, and to be ignored. If you haven't guessed which story I'm going to be talking about today from my hilarious t-shirt and the title of this video, then you're pretty stupid and we don't even want you in God's army. Just kidding. Us evangelicals have never been ones for shying away from recruiting society's stupidest people. Far from it. Come on in. This video is going to be on the true and extremely relevant story of Noah's Ark. It all started about 4,400 years ago when God looked down at earth and upon his most precious creation, mankind. God watched mankind, which he had faultlessly made in his own image, to be much like him, and saw that they were evil, brutish, and violent. To show how much he disapproved of these characteristics, our loving God, who constantly watches everything you do and is all-powerful, decided to obliterate pretty much all life on earth, with the plan of starting all over again and hopefully getting it right this time. Not that you got anything wrong the first time. Because of mankind's sinful ways, God had to not only destroy all of mankind, but also murder almost every animal on the planet as well. God needed to make sure that a few humans survived, so that humankind could have another chance to not be so sinful. And also that animals should get a second chance for humankind to not be so sinful. So he came up with a wonderful plan. Over a period of 40 days and 40 nights, God, who is omnipotent and could have simply clicked his fingers and made everything exactly how he wanted it to be instantly, chose instead to make it rain so much that water would cover the highest peak on Earth, which is Mount Everest. So that's 29,000 feet of water! But first, God chose a 600-year-old man to build a gigantic boat by hand and then gather one male and one female of every single species of animal that walked on the land or flew in the air onto that boat so that they would survive the flood and could continue the procreation of their species afterwards. One day, Noah's wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 wives were just sitting around hanging out when Noah came over and started rambling about how he had heard God's voice in his head telling him that they needed to build a gigantic boat, and then the 8 of them had to round up exactly one male and exactly one female of every single species of animal, bird, and creepy crawly on the planet and get it on the boat. Then Noah said that according to the voice in his head, God was going to flood the whole planet and kill everyone there who lived, everyone they knew, everyone they had ever met, and that they were going to be the only people left, and that the 8 of them would have to repopulate the whole planet themselves afterwards. And Noah's wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 wives listened to this manic diatribe from start to finish and said, "Sure thing, Noah, let's get started. No questions asked." So they started work on gathering 2 of each of the 35,000 species of spider, 2 of each of the 10,000 species of birds, 2 each of the 4,765 species of lizards, 2 each of the 700 species of dinosaur, and 2 each of the between 2 million and 30 million species of insects, as well as many, 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 many more. So they got this done without too much trouble, and then the rain came and flooded the whole planet. 29,000 feet of rain over 40 days. That's 725 feet of rain every day for 40 days. Gee, I hope Noah had an umbrella. And the floodwaters remained for a year, drowning everyone because no one else in the world had a boat. It's amazing that it takes a whole year for everything to drown. That the last thing to drown must have been awful tired from treading water all that time. And it must have taken that long because God wouldn't have made the flood last for a year if it would have only taken, say, 9 months for everything to die. I mean, Noah's job was already tricky enough, having to not let one single animal die or breed. Being at 29,000 feet of altitude where temperatures drop to minus 76 degrees and there's very little oxygen in the air. And all the while having no source of food. I hope they had a fishing rod at least. All them T-Rexes and grizzly bears must have been about ready for a nice big meal. Oh, and from keeping all the flying insects and birds that were not in the designated pairs from landing on the boat the whole time. Oh, that would have really got my britches in a twist. So after a year, the ark came to rest on a peak in the Middle East as the waters began to lower and clear. And once the waters had all cleared, Noah just opened the door to the ark and let all the animals out at the same time right there. And they all went off and just minded their own business. And the predators did not eat any one of their usual prey until their prey had had a few babies, because even one animal dying at this stage would have meant the extinction of that species forever. Then Noah sacrificed and burned some spare clean animals that he had taken with him, and upon smelling the burning carcasses of these animals, God's mood greatly improved, and he decided to never wipe out mankind again. Apart from in targeted genocides of certain peoples that he would later command. At some point between then and now, every marsupial and 140 species of snakes went only to Australia, the Galapagos tortoises went only to the Galapagos, and pandas went only to China. But how did kangaroos end up only in Australia? According to Paul F. Taylor, a fundamentalist Christian and creationist who was a publicly paid science teacher at schools in the United Kingdom for 20 years, writing for AnswersInGenesis.com, the kangaroos got to Australia by jumping on some logs and bits of driftwood that were kind of floating around after the flood, along with the 140 species of snakes and everything else that ended up only in Australia, and just floated there across an ocean. No big deal. And none of them died on the way on this journey, as no fossils of them have been found anywhere else ever. Something similar must have happened for all the other species that found their homes across seas. Anyway, back at where the boat was moored, Noah settled down, started making his own wine, got wicked drunk all the time, started taking all his clothes off, and then passing out. Then, when Noah's son Ham made sure that his nakedness was covered while he was passed out, Noah became enraged and cursed Ham's son that he should never be anything more than a servant. This is how Noah lived his life for another 350 years, until he died at the age of 601, 602, 603, 604, 609, 609, 608, 609, 610, 811, 812, 800, damn it! 600, 601, 602, 603, 40, 741, 742, 743, 744, 48, 49, 950 years of age. Unfortunately, Jesus later tells us that drunkards do not get into heaven. So, even after doing all this for God, Noah, I'm afraid, will burn in hellfire forever and ever. Heck, he's burning in hellfire right now! And that's the story of Noah and his ark. Thanks for listening, kids. I hope you learned something that you'll find useful in your day-to-day lives. Parents, if you would like your children to be educated on this stuff more regularly, please consider taking them out of the public education system and homeschooling them. And of course, showing them all of my videos. Please hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hit that little bell so you see when I release new videos. Amen.